Paul, frustration that the match on Tuesday didn't go ahead?
Do you know what? It was no bad thing. I felt like we needed a little mental reset after a disappointing and frustrating week the week before. So, I mean, it would have been off if it was here as well. The weather was terrible. So, not really frustration. More, it was not the end of the world. It was no problem. Let's just have a little breather.
You mentioned there about a bit of a mental reset. I imagine a bit of a physical reset as well for those that are carrying injuries as well right now.
Yeah, definitely. There was that as well. I felt after the Hampton game, just 2 or 3 boys were just off their normal physical level. So, look, it was no drama having the game off.
In terms of league right now, I'm sort of looking at the league table and thinking, my goodness, how competitive is the top of National League South right now? That maybe a result doesn't quite go your way, postpone game, and suddenly having been at the top for so long, you're not there anymore. I mean, it just goes to show that 1 foot wrong perhaps, and the next team's ready to come in.
Absolutely. The top 6 or 7 is extremely close. And I'm convinced that league will change again on Saturday. Well, it will do because Worthing and Bournemouth are in the FA Trophy, so it's going to change again, and it will change again an awful lot between now and the last game of the season, definitely. What I would say on the league table is, you've asked me before, and I wasn't too concerned when we're top, and I'm not concerned now we're 5th. There's too many games to go, too many points to play for. Everyone's got to play everyone. I mean, we've got to play 3 of them now in the next 3 games. What I would say is, I think it's exciting.
That's my very next question. How much does that excite you?
That's fantastic. Do you want to be in a relegation battle or a promotion battle? Embrace it. I've been very, very fortunate in my career as a player and a manager to be involved in title-winning teams and promotion-winning teams more than most people. Very, very fortunate. And it's a fantastic time to be involved with a football club. It's a challenge. It's there to be embraced, and let's have a go there.
You mentioned there about the fixtures coming up. I mean, Maidstone away, next game, right up there with you. What are you expecting from that one? Incredibly
tough game. George is a good manager. They play a certain way. They're physical. Threat from set pieces, long throw both sides, which is becoming very, very common in this league, in football actually. We're in a good place. We're fine. We feel, and I feel, we should have had 9 points from the last 3 games. We haven't. We got 2. It's not the end of the world. It's fine. If that's a so-called blip, then okay. Interestingly, in those 3 games, I'm not a huge stat guy, but my assistant Mikey is, and our outputs and our levels far exceeded many games we've won this year. I think the second half at St Albans, I thought we were brilliant. The first half at Slough, I thought we were solid and well drilled. And at home on Hampton on Saturday, the irony is, I think it was probably as good as we've played in a home game all season, and we lose 1-0 and lose our unbeaten home record, and all of a sudden there's a few people worried and nervous and anxious. It's cool. Just stay constant, work hard. It'll be all right. It's a good time.
You seem quite relaxed today, Paul.
Well, I think you all know me. During a 90-minute game of football, I'm very, passionate or wear my heart on my sleeve, or, I can be very up, but I'm pretty calm outside of football, really, and experience of being in teams that are trying to win something, or teams that, it's just stay calm. You can't get too excited at the end of January with 18 games to go. I don't know where we're going to end up, but we'll have a good go at it.
Maidstone, some fans would say, a bit of a bogey side for Torquay over the years. Do you believe in that phrase, bogey sides, or not?
Not really. All I know is in my time at Torquay, we've drawn 1-1 with them at home, and we didn't play very well at all. So I don't. All I know is it's going to be a tough game. Very tough game. Tough place to go. Big crowd. AstroTurf pitch. Strong physical team who I think when we drew to them at home, I think they were mid-table, Maidstone at the time. And I did say in my interview afterwards, I said, I guarantee you they'll be right up there in the mix. And they've gone on a tremendous run. So we're now in for as tough an away game as you can get, but we're looking forward to it.
Any fresh injury worries at all?
No fresh ones, no. We're injury-free from Hampton. Jordan Dyer, hopefully he'll join in training at some point. Jay Forster won't be involved in the game Saturday.
Good luck.
Cheers, thank you.
You talked a little bit about a mental reset there after Saturday. How is it for the players, having played as well as they did in that game on Saturday, and to have come away with nothing?
Yeah.
And for yourself, does that feel like a setback, or was it more of a positive?
It's a horrible phrase, isn't it? But you have to take the positives out of it. It was a case of just saying to the players at the end of the game, lads, you couldn't do any more. Other than take a couple of chances, and there's always the frustration of the goal we conceded. Okay, so there's always that. But I thought they were great, and they just kept going and going and going and going. The fans were great, and the fans were very appreciative at the end of the effort the boys had put in. So you're always going to lose games of football. There's games we've won this year when arguably the team we beat probably felt a little bit aggrieved. That's football, and we've all been involved in games away from home, playing or managing. When you've been battered and won 1-0, and it happens. Unfortunately, we was on the wrong side of that Saturday. There was a tremendous amount of positives. Listen, it doesn't mean the boys weren't low, and I wasn't low Saturday night. You're disappointed. It's human nature. But as the week goes, you're like, hang on a minute. We played really, really well. Really well. 2-1 up against Slough with a minute to go. Our fault we draw 2-2. Our fault. I've said that, The St Albans game, a little bit like, I don't know how we haven't won it, but we haven't. We haven't won it because we haven't took our chances at the right times. But it will come. It will come. You can't keep playing like that. It's. I think if you've had disappointing results, but 2 away draws and a home defeat. The home defeat is obviously disappointing because you're at home and it breaks our fantastic record we had. So that's the disappointment of that. If you're not playing well, I think you can sit there as a manager and start looking for answers and start second-guessing yourself, start second-guessing players, start worrying, start becoming anxious, becoming a little bit edgy. I say it all the time, you've got to stay constant. You really have got to stay consistent. Believe in what you're doing. Believe in the process. And I think for large parts of those 3 games, we were excellent.
The signing of Matt Jay came a little bit after press conference last week.
Yeah.
The first chance we've really had to ask you, how did it come about and what does he bring to the squad?
Well, MJ is obviously a player I know from the region anyway. I think randomly I actually played against him in a reserve game when I was about 36 and he was obviously a lot younger. He's had a fantastic career. It's stalled at Colchester for whatever reason. I spoke to him in pre-season and he didn't feel, he was going to give it a go at Colchester, and we've just stayed in touch ever since. I think sometimes the geography of the West Country goes against you. Other times it goes for you. MJ and his wife are from the area. They've got 2 young children. They want to get settled back in the area. And he's bought into the project. He likes what the club are trying to do. The foresight the club's got, the way it's run. It's run as professionally as it can be. I think what he does bring, he brings undoubted ability, which you'll see more and more he plays. I think if you give it another 2-3 games, you'll see MJ coming back to the MJ. I thought he showed some lovely touches on Saturday. Did well to last the 90 minutes. And what he also brings is experience, which is something that I feel like we're lacking a little bit. He's captained a promotion-winning team at Exeter, which is huge. There's not many people who do that. So he brings that. He brings experience. He brings a calmness as well. You know, again, when I'm talking about being constant and calm, you know, people might watch me on the side and go, one thing Paul Wotton ain't is calm. But believe it or not, I actually am. It's just the emotion of it. But, you know, if you're constantly emotional and constantly second guessing, and if you're constantly reading social media and getting yourself caught up in things, you end up not sleeping, you end up worried, stressed. Just believe in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Boys are working themselves into the ground. That goes without saying. I don't think anyone could ever doubt that. We'll be right. You know, we'll just keep going.
Before I hand over, just one more thing from
Yeah.
you. Are you going to train up a long thrower to deal with the other long throwers?
Well, we've got Mox
Yeah.
when he plays. I'll tell you a funny story. I've managed Ed Palmer for 6 years, and he came on against, I think it was Welling. I'm sure it was Welling. And he's took about 7 long throws. And I didn't know he had a long throw.
Yeah.
And I've managed him for 6 years. So we've got Ed can throw it long as well. JT can throw it quite long. It's I think this year you've seen some monsters.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's lots of people with a long throw. But this year there's some, Oxland Chamberlain at Truro. Brooks on Saturday for Maidstone's long. There's the Tamworth guy as well, but he's obviously not in our league. But that's like, do you know what I mean? It seems to become, football goes in fashion, doesn't it? And it seems to be coming back in.
Yeah, we've got it covered.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
You signed Manny just before last week's press conference. You probably only had a chance to train for a couple of days before then, and then came on Saturday.
Yeah.
Has he so far excited you and lifted you more or less than, I'm sure the answer is more, than before you signed him?
Yeah, well, we knew a little bit about him, Dave, anyway. I thought he showed some good glimpses when he came on Saturday. I think he's going to be an important player, definitely. But he's something different, Dave, to what we've got. He's got that pace, power. You know, he ran in behind. There was one, I think it was Lirac, played it in, and he took a touch inside. If he took his touch outside, he'd have left the centre back for dead. But Manny's also a goal. He gets a lot of tap-ins. You know, he's in and around the box. He had a header he maybe could have done better with on Saturday. He's trained really well. So in answer to your question, Dave, he's excited.
You signed him.
Definitely. He's different to what we've got, which is great. You can't have very similar. You know, you can have too many similar.
He seems a very cheerful,
lovely lad
guy as well.
Yeah, really. He's fitted in great.
Yeah,
he's fitted in great.
Good. How's Jaden Crosby getting on at Gloucester? That's one that it's easy to sort of almost not forget him, but
yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I weirdly, I spoke to him this morning.
Okay.
I speak to him. Tried to speak to him weekly. Haven't had a chance to go and watch any of their games because we've been so busy with our fixtures and training. He's been a little bit in and out, which is understandable, I think, at his age. But we're happy with how he's progressing. We've said before we think the world of him here, which is why he signed on a long-term contract. He's still very young. He's a baby. He's very young. I think the experience and the exposure he does get there will only stand him in good stead.
Quite well at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, they're doing well. That's a competitive league as well. So he's I think, like I said, I think the experience of it will only stand him in good stead.
The other thing, I think everybody was impressed by how well the team played last Saturday, and when you think about it over the weekend and walk away, in your mind, are you thinking that has to be our level now? In other words, my immediate thought was, even though the Chippenham went and won 4-1 at Boreham Wood last Saturday, that they would have to play very well against us on Tuesday if we produced that level of performance. In your mind, is that kind of a constantly just raising of the bar the whole time in terms of your level of performance?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think the start of the second half, we were scruffy for 10, 15 minutes. I just felt I felt like I felt it was complete dominance really. But first 20 minutes, as a manager, you sit there in the dugout sometimes, and within 2 or 3 minutes, you know if you're on it or not, and you know if you're not on it, it's going to be a long afternoon. You have to fight and dig. First 20 minutes, I thought we were, without scoring the goal, obviously, which is vital to win a game of football. We do set very, very high standards. I don't know if the standards sometimes are unrealistic, but I think those standards can never drop. I don't think they can ever drop in training. We train at a real high tempo. And what I will say is the players now, also, since pre-season, the standards have been drip fed into them non-stop from me and Mikey. The players are now demanding those standards from the players. Okay, so that when we talk about the squad being relatively young, there's what I haven't spoke about after the St Albans game and the Slough game in the changing room. It was very vocal changing room. Hasn't been like that at the start of the season. So players are now starting to find their voices, not dig each other out. That's completely the wrong. But if the standards aren't being met, people are getting told, that's football. That's the changing room. That's what should happen. So that's a promising thing as well. The players are growing up. They're maturing. They're learning. And that's not to say it's going to be plain sailing between now and the end of the season. But if we can keep our standards high, keep the performance levels up, I'm sure results will come.
Yes, I mean that you passed the ball certainly in the first half and then later in the game.
Yeah.
With a confidence and a pace and a tempo.
Yeah.
That I think I haven't seen.
No, I agree completely.
This
I agree.
Unless I'm dreaming it up, did Dan Hayfield play a slightly deeper role in the centre of the pitch?
Yeah, he did.
And I felt that was integral to the way we moved. He was always available for the ball.
Yeah.
He's a good passer of the ball anyway. Is that something that you've sort of a slot that you've come up with for him, because he has been playing more on the right hand side, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. I think that the signing of MJ changes. We can tweak the shape a little bit now. That's not. I mean, you'll know that we started the season 3-5-2. We've then played 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. 4-4-2 at times. So we're pretty fluid in our formation. I think it's important. I thought there was little signs of link up, tiny little signs between MJ and Cody, Jordan Young and MJ, Dylan when he was on, Moose when he was on, just those relationships. And like MJ had only trained for 30 minutes on the Friday. I think there was encouraging signs of those partnerships. I think if you've got that many attacking players on the pitch, then you need a solid base as well, So, but Dan can still join in because his running stats are so high, Dave. So, but we've also got Lirak and WJD who are bundles of energy as well. Who can do a similar thing. So it's just at the minute there's some tough choices to make.
He looked so comfortable in the role on Saturday.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
He could get his head up, see what's going on. Just find little pockets of space and
he's had a great season.
Yeah,
he's
just seemed to suit him down to the ground.
His standards have been high. Yeah, he's been good.
Yeah.